do have a gain the sun's white, and then have to go from there.
That's probably what it is.
Ticket sales begin at 9, so we're going to come back here at 9 o'clock.
They pulled out $37 million worth of silver from those hills off to the left. Until we had a small earthquake, though, and it filled the mines up with water to the 600-foot level. Unfortunately, costing more to pump the water out of the silver mines than the silver's worth today, so the boom town of 10,000 became a ghost town. Last town too tough to die. On the left-hand side is our courthouse here. In 1880, the Arizona legislature formed Cochise County and named Tombstone as its county seat. In 1882, at the cost of $50,000, just next to the courthouse here behind the brick wall, you'll find the gallows, or the ghostly gallows of Tombstone, where 7 outlaws were hanged by the neck from those ropes there. From the back there, you see the hangman gallows. The last cowboy walked up the steps and was hanged in the year 1900. You can still see the rope swinging from that cowboy. Only 7 outlaws were hanged, right? 7, but it could have been 8. But an angry mob of vigilantes just couldn't wait any longer. They busted in the doors of the courthouse back there. They tied up the sheriff and his deputy. They grabbed an outlaw by the name of John Heath, and they walked him to this corner right here and hanged him from a telegraph post. They just couldn't wait. Okay, you can see on the ground there's a green fence and there's a stop sign, and there's a historic marker on a post there, and there's a stump in the ground there. That's where they hanged old John Heath. He wasn't very tall, was he? John Heath. Now, it took John Heath 22 minutes to die, hanging by the neck of a telegraph post. 22 minutes. Well, the town doctor had to examine the body still, and he didn't have too far to go. He looked in this nice little house on the left hand. They were friends of his. He didn't want them going to jail for hanging John Heath. He figured it was justified. He had to cover for him in his medical report. So he wrote, John Heath, the outlaw, may have simply died of symptoms of emphysema. Or maybe it was just a lack of oxygen to the brain. He just had a hard time breathing. There you go. And it seemed to work. He also said that it's common in higher elevations, and I guess he's right, because John Heath was about 20 feet higher than the vigilantes that hanged him on that telegraph post. Some things never change, huh? Yeah. Looking on the left-hand side here, that white building, that old dilapidated white building on the left, is rumored to be the home of Doc Holliday. That's where Val Kilmer lived. So Doc Holliday might have lived in the house on the left, is what they say he did anyways, but more evidence suggests that he spent more time dealing cards in those 24-hour poker games, sometimes a whole week at a time at the Birdcage Theater. China Mary. The whole 2 city blocks we drove through, were known as Chinatown back then. Well, the absolute ruler of Chinatown was China Mary, who lived right here on the right-hand side of that red building there. That's China Mary's house. Not a deal went down in Chinatown without China Mary's approval. She was in charge of the opium trade and the Chinese prostitution, all legal back in those days. Well, he lived here on Tough Neck Street, and they called it Tough Neck because with over 10,000 people in town, we had over 100 saloons and Tombstone to accommodate. 100 saloons. Back then, a saloon could have consisted of a whiskey barrel and a tent, but we called it a saloon. But a lot of them were lined up on this street, being closest to the silver mines where the miners drank. They said if you can walk down this street, you're one tough nut. Look to the left-hand side, we'll find our visitor information center on the left corner there. That was our bank in the 1800s. Later became a hospital. Down there across the way a little bit is the OK Corral. They do shootouts there daily. There'll be one at 2 o'clock today. But if you get a chance here at 5 o'clock, I recommend you catch the saloon. On March 18th, 1882, Morgan Earp was in there playing a game of pool with his brother Wyatt Earp. When he was shot in the back, he was murdered on a pool table there. So we set a pool table up in that clothing store so you can see where that happened 125 years ago. See that outlaw on the corner there? Well, that's where the Earps met up with Doc Holliday right there on that very same corner with Doc Holliday. This used to be called the Hafford Saloon back then. They went straight ahead like we're doing now to the next corner to Fremont Street. They took a left and they came in the back way to ambush those cowboys at the OK Corral. Oriental clothing store on the left. It used to be called the Oriental Saloon, and you might have saw the movie Tombstone, the one with Kurt Russell playing the part of Wyatt Earp. When he busted in the doors of the saloon there, slapped around Billy Bob Thornton, and he took over the barrel tables along with Doc Holliday. Well, that's where that would have happened 125 years ago. Nellie Cashman's restaurant. If you want something good to eat, I recommend Nellie Cashman's because it's one of the first restaurants in Tombstone, built by Nellie Cashman, the young Irish lass that came over. We're going to turn left here onto Tough Nut Street. Like I said, if you walk down this street, you're one tough nut. On the left-hand side is the wildest and wickedest night spots in the whole West Coast, according to the New York Times in the 1800s anyways. This building on the left corner, the Birdcage Theater right there on the left. There was 16 gunfights inside that building that claimed 26 lives. There's still 140 bullet holes throughout the walls, ceiling, floor, and piano inside there. Doc Holliday dealt cards. There was 24-hour poker games. The longest poker game in history took place there. 8 years, 5 months, 3 days. Just over here in this left corner. This is the first non-Catholic church in Arizona territory. The very first Protestant church in Arizona. It was built in 1882, St. Paul's Episcopal Church. They say Wyatt Earp talked a few of his gambling friends into pulling their winnings together to help build this church in 82. Left over here, and we'll see Wyatt Earp's house on the left-hand side. It's free to get in. It's gallery there. Like I said, they don't want to be stopping on the highway. So it's like you're on Fremont Street right about here. That blue building on the right-hand side there, blue building, Doc Holliday rented a room there that was called C.S. Fly's Photography Studio back then. He's got a lot of rare photographs there in Toronto.
Hey there, hi. What time do you rob the bank? Sorry? I can't hear you. When do you rob the bank?
11:30.
They robbed the bank at 11:30.
You can never get away with it now.
Yeah, they're gonna rob the bank at 11:30. They're not so smart, are they? Anyway, they'll be doing that bank robbery at 11:30. It's told the whole world they'll get away with a lot of bank robberies.
Talk yourself.
Alexander the Great is...
I don't know if you see anything on the screen.